the Sweet Action,
Nice.
which is a favorite at the bar right now. So
cool.
I too.
Drinking.
Sweet Action.
Nice. Nice.
Oh, the Cincy's so good.
yeah, Ashley's having a Cincy party.
Cincy party.
Word.
Shane, thank you for joining us. I just want to ask you a couple questions, or do you want me to wait till you get to beer? I don't want to be rude and have a beer without you.
No, let's do this.
Okay, awesome. So one of the things that we like to do is, it's easier for us when we have local breweries. We can introduce our clients to the brewer, but we wanted to interview you so that we can introduce our clients to you, so they can see who's behind all of this really good beer that we're drinking.
Is that how they feel about it?
Oh, I'm serious. They do. It's one of those things that we've kind of developed a culture of people don't even look at the menu anymore. They just ask us what they should drink, and anything that we say the 6-point, they hands down will not even question it.
Wow, that's great. Yeah. That's what we always wanted to do. I mean, Ashley, how's it? What's the vibe like right now in South Carolina? Is it just positive? I mean, I always wonder. Yeah.
People are obviously nuts over resin because, everybody, but man, everybody loves Cincy. I got overwhelming positive things about Cincy.
That's great.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, we had like a case of Cincy and it was gone super fast, but everybody, bar none, every one of the beers, people at least like and like, oh yeah, I like this beer. Maybe it's not my style or whatnot, but they're, from not having heard of Sixpoint a couple months ago to coming in and like that's what they order on the regular. I think it's pretty amazing.
Word. Nice.
Yeah, so what can you tell us about you? We've been asking each other questions while we were getting warmed up. What was the first beer that you ever drank?
Which exit do you usually take?
You can take Hamilton Avenue exit. Yeah. The first beer, I mean, you have to go all the way back till I'm like 2 or 3 years old.
Yes.
But basically, there was a beer that at the time was brewed by this brewery in La Crosse, Wisconsin called Heilemann's, and they were an old German brewery, and they made a beer just for the Chicago market called Meisterbrau, and that was the first beer that I would just put back. Now I'm 2 or 3 years old, of course, and see, here's the deal. My dad would. This is the exit right here. My dad would basically, he'd get home from work and he was a carpenter and he would work really hard. So when he'd get home, he would put back, the first thing he'd do when he would get home is he would just sink a few beers,
Right.
And a lot of times he would leave like a little bit in his mug. And I was a kid, I'm like 2 or 3 years old. So I just lift that mug up and drink the last couple ounces in that mug. And my parents didn't know this was happening, but they busted me once. And they snapped a photograph of me, and I still have that photo from this day because they were just remarking on how I must have just loved the taste of beer because, do you see what I'm saying? Like ever since I was a kid.
It shaped your life.
Well, some people, yeah, it did, and some people think that beer is an acquired taste, but I don't think it is. I think it's like, to me, it tastes really naturally good. It's just like it's delicious liquid. It's sweet, but then it has like the bitterness from the hops. It has the carbonation. Like it's a glorious thing. It's like there's very few creations of mankind that are up there with beer. Like beer is like almost the epitome of what we've achieved, I feel.
That's awesome.
Do you see what I'm saying? Especially when
Yeah.
it's good. Especially when it's really good. Like when it's really good, it's like fucking divine stuff, And
So
the thing is, yeah, what were you
Do you
saying?
think you would like that Heilemann's if you drank it today?
I mean, other than nostalgic purposes, probably not a whole lot. I mean, but who knows? Because here's the thing, and I'm giving you kind of a sneak preview into the future, but I think that there's a lack of really good lager out there. And I think what you're going to see coming out of us next year is we're going to actually be dropping several lagers, like craft lagers, and just kind of getting people excited about lager again, because everyone kind of went all in on IPA, and then there's some sours coming out now. But lager is a awesome art form, and if you can get it dialed in, it's really great, you know.
Yeah, I feel like y'all dial a lot of things in very well. I mean, there's not anything that we've had. The 4-bean is, people still are asking for the 4-bean. Like, when is that coming back? And we're like, okay, calm down. So we've got the global warmer, and we know the high res is coming in the new year, and you just mentioned a little sneak peek of that. That's awesome. But one of the questions that I wanted to ask, though, is, so you progressed from that and you started brewing at a very young age. There wasn't, I mean, when did you start brewing? How did you get all the information? Was it just like science to you? Keely was asking what is the history behind the mad science.
Yeah, I've always been scientifically inclined, and I love science as a pursuit and a passion, but I think that the science is secondary to what we do. It's rooted in science, and science helps you perfect the processes to make really good beer. But the creative part of your mind is really the one driving the conversation, and it has to do with how you put flavors together, you know. And the way I think of beer is I always feel like you're trying to get the perfect assembly or the perfect fusion of flavor, and science is a tool to help you achieve that, you know.
Yeah, that makes sense.
And,
So is this balance of art and science constantly and sort of getting that right combination?
yeah, it's really like in a pursuit where it's at the intersection of the creative and the technical.
So out of the beers that that Sixpoint makes, which one's your favorite, or that you guys have ever made?
I mean, I think it's just like a beer for all occasions, you know.
Yeah.
And I mean, lately I've been crushing the hell out of Bengali. I just can't get enough of it. But and then we tap this keg at the brewery, and it's just like juice, just going down. It's just insane. But you know, I mean, this summer I was crushing jammers, and you know, I crushed 4-beans. Tonight we had diesel that was in a cask with vanilla beans.
Wow.
That was just insane. We're doing a lot of work with some sours right now. We got like a golden ale that's super tart, super dry. So, I mean, I don't really have one, I guess.
Right around here, right?
Yeah, right here is fine. Thank you. I may actually log off here and then get back on.
Yeah, that sounds
'Cause I'm
good.
getting out of this cab, okay?
Yeah.
Okay.
Thank you. Later.
Hey, Jim. Unmute yourself.
1 second.
Jim.
Hey, how's everybody doing?
Hey. Good. How are you?
Good. I'm still on the conference call, so can't really talk, but I'd actually like to join in for once. So maybe I'll be off in about 5 or 10 minutes.
Yeah, come back.
So, okay.
Good to see you,
Back on
man.
mute. Huh?
Good to see you.
Good to see you too. And I got the sweet, sweet nectar of the gods here.
Awesome.
Jim,
Alright,
you're the only
so-
reason we know Sixpoint, so I'm glad you signed on.
Well, we'll see if I actually get to participate. But
Yeah, pop back
Okay.
in. He just left. He's gonna come back. So
Hurry
yeah,
up.
I just need to be on mute. All right, talk to you in a few minutes.
All right. No top secret information coming from Jim.
So I think that's pretty cool, like what he's saying, like the balance between art and science. And you know, one of the things I think people often overlook with stuff like this, it's not just formulaic. It's not just like, oh, I want to put a little bit of this and that in there. There's a method behind the madness, and you have to have that creativity in order to make it happen. So
yeah, it's so much both creativity and science. because you can go to a home brewers competition and you can see a lot of really cool creativeness with not a lot of science. Doesn't turn out so well. Likewise, if you just do science and no creativity, all you're gonna have is, I don't know, macro beer. So
Yeah.
So Ashley, like, from your perspective, he was Shane was talking about the lagers.
hmm
Do you think like the macro breweries killed the lager? Like you
Well, they killed the public perception, like especially Pilsner. You know, if you put Pilsner on the menu around here anyway, a lot of times people are like, oh, well, I don't want that because that's like Bud Light. No, no, it's not. A good Pilsner is amazing, and just getting people to understand the difference between Pilsner and light lager. But all the lagers, you know, I feel like a lot of people have said I don't like lagers because they're used to Bud Lights, and quite frankly, there's a world of flavor out there in lager that craft beer really hasn't explored, just because of the time involved, the investment. You know, you can't turn out a lager in 6 weeks. It takes at least 12 to do a good one.
So you have to be like a fairly large scale craft brewery to be able to produce lagers.
Right, and temperature control is even more important in a lager than, I mean, an ale, just about anybody at home can do it. A lager, you really can't without the proper refrigeration equipment. It's going to be an awful beer if you try it.
So from a production time standpoint, like sours take quite a long time as well, don't they?
Yeah, your traditional sours take a long time. I mean, you're not going to get a good one of those. It's going to take a minimum of 6 months and sometimes longer. But a lot of these craft brewers are doing kettle sours now. You can turn those out just as fast as you can any sort of typical ale beer.
IPAs are pretty quick then. I'm assuming since everybody has IPAs.
Oh yeah, yeah. IPAs are super quick. Turn those out easily in 4 weeks, less. Depending on the ABV.
So, how long is the global warmer out? Is it just a winter beer?
Yeah, it's a winter beer. I believe that it should bring us through the end of the year, and then January is when we'll see high res. Probably late January if I had to guess, but I'm not entirely sure.
Yeah.
Shane will probably be able to give us a better idea of when we might see it for sure, but.
I had something a little bit spicy before I opened this one, and I can really taste the fruit on it that I never tasted when I've had it before. So
that's cool.
Like
is that the global warmer?
Yeah.
Okay.
What are you drinking, Anna?
Sweet action. I wonder if that's what they'll call the double sweet action. Sweet action.
It should.
Is that public knowledge? I don't know.
I don't know.
Or is that really going to happen?
You can ask Shane.
Well, they have a double everything. Everyone doubles everything up.
Full on double sweet action. All the way across the beer festival.
Jim's got his beer in his hand now.
Oh.
Old resin.
So Jim was the first one. Actually, we could blame Jim for meeting Ashley, right?
I guess so.
Thank you, Jim.
Yeah, you're welcome for that.
Yeah, that was awesome. He gave me a resin as he always has beer in his backpack from places that we can't get it. He gave me a resin. I was cleaning up, drinking the resin. I was like, man, this is good. And then about 20 minutes later, I'm like, oh my gosh, that's almost 10%. Oh no. So for Jim's going away party, he's like, has Sixpoint hit yet? Have they hit yet? And I'm like, I don't think so. And I search my email and it pops up because Ashley is a really good rep and she sends all of her inventory every week. So it popped up in my email and I was like, yes.
Yay.
This is it. So the rest is history, or the last few months, whatever you want.
So our intro to Sixpoint was a keg of resin.
Yeah, that went out in like 48 hours.
That's awesome.
There's nothing like hitting it hard.
But wait, was that the same? Was Jim's party the same night that we did Promenade? Was that Promenade? Tony, do you remember?
Yeah, that was Promenade. Yeah.
So Promenade, Jim sleeves were intro to Ashley. We tap the resin. We sell out of the
Oh,
resin.
it was, yeah.
Anna wins Best DJ of the Year.
That's right.
I mean,
Good
what
party
else
and
good
winning
could
awards.
happen? Yes. DJ and Jim had his cowboy tuxedo. Is that what you call it?
The Canadian tuxedo.
Canadian, whatever. It was
Yep.
something.
All denim, baby. All denim.
All denim. So thanks, Jim. Cheers to that.
You are welcome. That's what I do. Uh-oh.
I think
That's not what you do. You
What's that?
fight fires and save babies
Yeah, that's it.
and drink good beer.
Oh no, he's got a hat now.
And a Bengali.
Oh, cheers.
Yay.
Look at that proper pour. Awesome.
So,
Welcome back.
All right.
Welcome back.
Tastes good.
It does. So
Is there ever-
Bengali, tell us what we should say to our customers about Bengali. How would you present it if you were us?
Is there a conversation in the background that you hear?
yeah, Jim needs to mute us.
It's me, sorry. Here,
All right.
you go mute.
Wondering if I was going crazy. I gotta turn this light down too.
No, Jim, we can't hear you.
There we go. Much better.
Oh, we can see your face now.
Yeah.
Love the hat.
That was like blinding. All right. Well, when we got on the scene, there wasn't a whole lot of East Coast, Northeast IPAs that tasted like this. And it was mostly a West Coast phenomenon. And it was just, we wanted to bring this flavor to people, but I had a different idea. There's like distinctive, like the West Coast IPAs are usually like pretty dry and bitter. And then the East Coast IPAs were like, at the time, they were like pretty malty and not so bitter. And what I like is I like a beer that's not too dry, not too sweet. It's the fucking Goldilocks, you know? And then it's like, it should have a lot of hop flavor and aroma, but not a lot of hop bitterness. You know, so it should have a lot of that juiciness and a lot of the aroma of hops, but without all that stinging bitterness. To me, that's kind of annoying about IPAs. You know, it should be something that you want to continue to drink. And it should also look good. The thing about a lot of these newer beers is they look like fucking orange juice, man. And I'm not, like, I don't like it when a beer is super hazy like that and it has chunks in it. I think it should have like beautiful color to it, you know?
Yes. I agree. Ashley, the Scentsy that you have,
Yeah.
it's pretty good color as well.
Yeah, it is.
Yeah.
It's nice. I should have poured it in a glass, but I was lazy and just opened the can.
So,
It works.
Shane, a lot of the people coming in drinking the Sixpoint beers are just used to drinking straight out of the can and continue to drink the Sixpoint beer straight out of the can. Would you recommend them be in a glass of some type, or do you think that the can gives it that flavor that you want it to have to be enjoyed?
Well, the problem with the can is that it does have that, it imparts a metal taste if you put your mouth on it. Mm-hmm. So, like, the beer inside the can, if you pour it out, it's going to taste like drinking out of a keg, and it's perfect. But if you drink like beer like this, putting your mouth on the can is my daughter's going to sleep. So actually, can you bring her over here for a minute?
Wait, I'm off.
That's little.
Aww.
She's 7 months old.
Oh.
And tomorrow we're waking up at 5:30 a.m. to go to LaGuardia Airport to fly back home to Grandma and Grandpa.
Oh, goodness.
Oh, great.
Yeah, it's going to be awesome.
I hope it's for smooth travels for you.
Yeah, dude. It's her first Thanksgiving, man. It's going to be great.
That is amazing.
Cool.
Oh, I will have to crush a lot of beer at Thanksgiving, man.
Isn't that what it's all about?
Do you find yourself doing that?
I told this story to them, and they probably heard it, but I actually started drinking LaCroix water last Thanksgiving because I needed something to have in my hand other than beer, so I just wouldn't be drunk all day.
That's when you got into the LaCroix.
Yep.
Word.
That's
It's too
great.
funny.
That's the holidays, right?
I think those are the best holidays. I mean, those families that act like they don't drink or don't drink around each other, I mean, that's always the most depressing.
Exactly. I might have to bring some 6.0 over to my house and get my parents to drink it. They don't normally drink. It'll be great.
Start with a sweet action. That always breaks people in.
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah, we use the sweet action sort of a lot of the times as the entry point beer for people who say, oh, I don't really drink beer, or I don't know what I want. And almost invariably they're like, I love this. If you were to like choose from your portfolio and people come in and say, I don't really know what kind of beer I drink or what kind of beer I want, what would you start them out as?
Well, people ask that a lot, actually. And I think sometimes what they're looking for is they're looking for like a single answer, like one beer that will kind of serve as a gateway to the whole lineup. But what I found is that for each individual, it's different. So, for instance, we met this girl. This is an amazing story, but the only beer that she would ever drink is Bud Light. He hated the taste of all beer except Bud Light. And now all she drinks is resin. And so she just went from like a very light beer to a very intense beer with nothing in between. So most people would think, or they would instruct you or teach you or indoctrinate you to say, like, first you give her a lighter style craft beer and then maybe like a fruit flavored beer, and then you kind of ease them into it. But what's interesting about her is that she just went directly from Bud Light to resin. And I think that occurrence is not as atypical as you think. I think that what people are looking for is they're looking for a new flavor combination. Like when they're trying beers, they're looking to have a different perception of what beer can taste like. So it doesn't really have to do with going from a really light beer and a really low ABV beer to a high beer. It has to do with like what is the person's palate inclined to like. Does that make sense? It's like
It does.
Yeah.
Okay.
And
So you almost need like a tasting wheel to.
yes. And those things are actually, I always thought that was a bit of hocus pocus, but they're actually pretty accurate. Like, people have certain inclinations. Some people like sour, some people like sweet, some people like bitter. And there's a beer that kind of captures more of that wheel than others. And it's really about pairing the right person with the right beer. You know what I mean? And that's why I think bars nowadays have realized, because you are all in the industry and you know, but there's no one-size-fits-all beer anymore. I mean, back in the day, there used to be very few choices for the customer, and they would come into a bar and you may only have 2 or 3 beers. But nowadays, you're expected to have a wider variety of beers to appeal to all the different tastes of their customers. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Yeah, I agree with that. And we have clients that come every day, and it's hard for us. Well, it's not hard for us because y'all put out a lot of good beer constantly, but we have to keep things new and interesting for them. So when they see something, again, when they see something Sixpoint that comes out, they automatically want to try it because you just have that reputation of coming up with something good. So definitely understand what you mean. You have to keep it moving for people.
We had this discussion amongst ourselves the other day, and I think you guys do a really good job of having your core brands, and then what do you call it, the cycloids that
The sick liquids.
sick liquids. Sorry, yeah, the sick liquids, and so I mean that's kind of cool because people can always have what they know they love of yours, and then they get to try new things constantly. So. Is that sort of like, to me, that's sort of what a craft breweries are there to do. Kind of keep inventing. What's your take on like what makes a craft brewery versus what's that delineation there as these craft breweries start getting bigger?
You brought up a lot. You brought up a lot of relevant questions. First of all, regarding the percentage breakdown of like what we would call our core beer and then our sick liquids, right? I think that most people don't know this because we don't like publish the data or whatever, but 85% of all the beer that we sell is just our core, which is Sweet Action, Crisp, Bengali, and Resin. So only 15% of all the beer that we actually sell is these sick liquid beers, these rotational beers. And it's weird because they only make up 15% of the volume, but they make up like 90% of the conversation. Do you see what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So I learned this very on that like it's a very small production of when you have like a manufacturing or a production company, a very small amount of your production drives the conversation, and it's because people always want to know like what's in the pipeline, what's coming through, where's the innovation. So my philosophy has always been like make those core beers as awesome as they possibly can be, because the core beers are which sort of fund the research and development at a brewery. And what I'm appealing to you guys for is that you guys are actually really ideal customers because you support our core. You'll buy the resin, you'll buy the crisp, you'll buy the Sweet Action, you buy the Bengali, and then you also bring in the sick liquids. But a lot of customers nowadays, they only want to bring in the rotational beers, and they don't want to support the core. And that's like the death of a brewery, because a brewery needs to have some like stable manufacturing base to survive. Does that make sense?
Yeah, for sure.
It does.
And like you can go online right now and look, like we have one of the top 10 rated Pilsners in the world with the crisp. We have the number 1 or number 2 rated cream ale in the world with Sweet Action. We're in the 90th percentile on the resin. We're in the 90th percentile on the Bengali. So the core of any brewery, like our core, is really dialed in. And we did that intentionally because I feel like that's your bread and butter. If you're a modern brewery and you can't make a sick IPA and a good Pils and a really good sessionable beer, like you can't I feel like you're almost irrelevant. We want to give you a keg as a brewery. We want to give you a keg that we know that you can put on a tap and you can run your business, you can run your bar, you can get repeat customers, not just the customer who's come in for the flavor of the month. Do you know what I mean? Because like you have the same problem. You're like you're a bar owner, we're breweries, and Ashley's at a wholesaler, but like we all are dependent upon repeat customers. Like you can't just have someone buy your product once and then never buy it again. So I feel like creating that sense of loyalty and equity is the most important thing. And what I mean by that is like you guys are out there and you're singing the praises of Sixpoint, but if our core was rotten and no one wanted to buy that, but they only came in for the special 1 keg, then like we don't have any like gravitas, So I really appreciate the fact that you guys really get behind the core. It means everything to the brewery. It keeps it viable. You know what I mean?
Definitely. Ashley, do you have anything to say about that? I know that you deal with a lot of different breweries and stuff, and as far as like having a core product to be able to push all the time, that's important for you too.
It really is, yeah. The resin is the favorite of everybody in the core around South Carolina. But I've got a good following for the crisp at different restaurants, and Bengali's a kind of close second.
Nice.
Goes, yeah. It's funny because I know Sweet Action's the #1 beer in New York, right?
Yeah, we sell an insane amount of it in New York, and I don't know how it's just this thing, you know?
Yeah, it's like the last one I can sell here. I don't get it. I mean, I push it all the time, but they're just like, well, it's good, but I really like resin and Bengali and the crisp, and I've sold more combination of those 3 only recently than, I don't know.
Well, we love the Sweet Action.
Yeah, it's great.
We have wine drinkers that will not drink any other beer except Sweet Action, and that's their thing.
That's awesome.
I think it's interesting you mentioned, you have like one of the top-rated Pilsners and the crisp. That's one of the ones I think we have the hardest time getting people to try. Not like, but to try. And I don't know if it's this stigma against, I don't really like Pilsners or whatnot, and you almost have to position it as, this is a completely different Pilsner than what you've had before.
Right. They've all had some really bad Pilsners, it seems. A little bit hesitant.
Yeah, and that's expected because, let's face it, that's a style that, I mean, people haven't been really diligent about respecting the craft. You know, it's like, if there's ever been one watered down, like kind of diluted, abused style over the years, it's been that style. I mean, it's a shadow of what it used to be, you know? It's just, if you've ever had, and I don't want to sound like a real asshole here, but like if you've ever had fresh lager out of the tanks at Pilsner Urquell in the Czech Republic, like the real old school, properly 90-day lagered, cave-aged, barrel-aged lager, that's the real shit. And if you drink it, it's like a revelation, you know? But I think you drink these modern macro lagers that are made with corn syrup and rice syrup and like fermented for 14 days and just like pumped full of chemicals and shit. Like that's not even close to the original craft, you know? So people, when they hear the word lager, they think of that piece of shit beers is basically what it boils down to. Yeah. And it's a shame because old school lager, when done right, it's just amazing.
Yeah, definitely. So anything next? I know you have High Res coming up in January. We are always excited about that.
Have you heard about the cream?
A little bit. The CREAN.
Yeah,
Is
let
it
me
madness?
see if I can, yeah. Here, let me see if I can find. I just opened up this link here. Let me get this launched.
It's starting to get cold down here, so we love a good dark beer.
Well, here you go. You should all have that on the right-hand side of your screen, I think.
Yep.
Yeah, I was reading that today.
Word. Yeah, it's starting to make the rounds.
Very cool.
Yeah, it's cool. And even those type beers bring in like non-beer drinkers. It's amazing. People have
For
this
real.
already turned up nose about beer, and then you hand them 4-bean, and they can't stop drinking it.
That sounds awesome.
Yeah,
What do you think of that can?
super cool.
Yeah, I mean it looks like a latte.
Yeah.
For real, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, people are gonna love that.
I really like the Scentsy can as well. I can't think of it offhand, but I remember thinking it looked really cool with like the different shades of green and so forth. So I have a question about your packaging then. So you guys went with the slim cans.
The sleek can.
I'm sorry.
Well, some people call it the skinny can, but I think that's a little disparaging. And I think it's in the slender can. It works, but that's a little too 70s wafy for me. I like to go with the sleek.
Okay, sleek.
Keep it nice and svelte, maybe.
I didn't mean to like impose a Virginia Slims kind of.
No Virginia Slim fucking can, dude. That's just not.
That's not legit.
So was this just a packaging design kind of consideration, or was it a distribution kind of decision, or what? Why'd you guys go with these sleek cans?
There's actually, I always feel that, good design is not about the way things look, it's about the way things work.
Mm-hmm.
And so it's all about functionality. New York City, there's a premium for space, right? And when you actually have a refrigerator in a small apartment in New York, you're trying to maximize the amount of basically square inches or cubic inches you have in that fridge. And this thing right here is like the most efficient use of space that you can have, because it's as tall. It's not as wide, but it's as tall as you can get for a can. So it's like a skyscraper of beer. And you can jam these 6-packs. You can jam like 5 or 6 of them in your fridge and still have room for the produce and the cheese and the soy milk. No, it's legit. You ever notice, like, if you buy Bombers, they're the most like efficient way to have beer in your refrigerator, because a bottle is an awkward shape to begin with, but this is it's utilitarian, man.
Absolutely. You're making a hedonic product utilitarian.
I think
For real.
one thing that's awesome about the branding is they're almost like immediately recognizable on the shelf. Like you see it and you know it's a 6-point can. There's this consistency, but still each of the cans have uniqueness. It's just a cool design.
That's important too, and we know we'd like your customers to feel that way too. So, because I think at some point in time you got this reputation, you're trying to show your customers that you only are going to put on quality products, right?
Absolutely.
That's the problem with a lot of these bars who have this flavor of the month mentality. It's like they'll put on anything because it's new, but it may be shit. And it's just like, why would you want to serve that to your customers,
Yep.
Yeah, definitely. Can you tell us a little bit about the background of the UPC label? All of our clients are really digging the UPC and the Statue of Liberty and whatnot.
The UPC label idea of design I was on this place called Valentino Pier. It's in Red Hook, Brooklyn. And if you walk out to the end of the pier, you get a perfect view of the Statue of Liberty. So I was like, well, why can't we somehow incorporate that into the design? And that's what we came up with. When we ran it by the people who like register and approve those designs, we thought that they might reject it, but they didn't.
That's awesome.
So it's apparently how these things work is like when the laser scans the UPC, it only reads the width between these bars, and that's how it determines like the code. But you don't need it to go all the way up. You actually only need that little space like right there on the bottom. So you're doing it for the width, not for the height, basically. And so I was like, well, the whole part at the top is basically just fucking dead space, right? So we were just like, well, why don't we utilize that space? So we made, if you're really savvy about like New York, the silhouette on the bottom, it's the silhouette of Manhattan. So Manhattan has this thing where there's really tall buildings in the area at the bottom. That's called the Battery. And then it dips down when you get down around, basically the low point there is 23rd Street. Because the reason why there's no, like Manhattan could be skyscrapers all the way through, but the reason why it's not is because the geologic foundation of the city, there's granite in like the area really far south of Manhattan, so you can put skyscrapers on it. But the area around 23rd Street is all sand. So if you tried to put a skyscraper there, it would just sink into the ground. So that's why the only 2 areas in Manhattan that are really built up tall is Midtown, from like basically 38th to 55th or 45th, and then the Battery, right? Because those are the areas underneath there. There's this old mountain range, and it basically created this bedrock of granite, so you can put huge structures on it, right?
Cool.
If you've actually been in like Hong Kong, the whole thing is granite, so like that's why there's no valley like that. It's just straight fucking skyscrapers all the way through. it's all based on the geological engineering of the bedrock.
That's awesome to know. I mean, I'm sure you guys have this, you encounter this all the time, but anytime we have a story that we can tell people to go along with the beer, it makes it, 10 times more likely that they're going to engage and want to drink it. And maybe they even like something that they don't actually think that they like because there's a story that goes along with it. And we
Or
see
at
that.
least give it a try, yeah.
Yeah, we see that with wine and beer. So
Definitely.
the more you know.
The more you know.
The more you fucking know.
Yep.
Isn't that the saying? Isn't that the word du jour?
The rainbow. The more you know. Dun, dun, dun.
Yeah, isn't that one of the best things?
Yeah.
Dude, I
It
used
is.
to rock PBS like you would not believe when I was a kid.
The Reading Rainbow.
Reading Rainbow, Highlights Magazine.
Yep.
How about Bob Ross? That's one of our favorites, being an
Bob
art
Ross.
gallery. We're all about some Bob Ross.
No, Bob Ross was the man.
Yeah,
He
he
was-
was.
And he's they're back on was it Twitch, Tony?
Yeah, Twitch TV.
You
You
can
guys
watch
should
all
tell
of Bob
Shane about
Ross.
your awesome bar. Cause they
Tell us
know
about
it
what we
from
do.
Other people.
Hold
Yeah,
on.
so
I was
hold
going to
on.
ask my wife, Amanda, do you want to go to South Carolina next year?
yeah, you do.
Where does he live? He lives in Charleston.
Oh, that's
Oh,
close.
perfect. Yeah.
So her brother lives in Charleston, so we'll probably go visit down there.
Yeah,
Yeah,
come
you
down and then drive up.
Can we
and
go
have
down there?
a
Let's go down there in like spring. Yeah, we're all about it. We'll come visit your bars.
That'd be great. We would love that. So we're a little bit different. Ashley wanted me to tell you real quick. So we have a paint studio in the back where we teach artist-led painting sessions. We have painting sessions every night. So we want people to understand what they like about art and to be able to experience it and express it. But we then divided off about a year and a half ago to having the wine bar and the craft beer. So we're trying to do the same concept of showing people what they like about craft beer and wine. So we're really excited to always get new stuff in from Ashley, and definitely when it says Sixpoint on our list, we're jumping all over it. So we appreciate you being one of those breweries that we can trust and introduce to our clients.
Of course. That's what
Yeah,
we
so
do.
you'll have to come by and see us. We would definitely love to have you. We'll throw a party.
How do you
Actually,
feel about-
420 is our anniversary, so you should come by then.
Are you going to be ripping any bowls on that day?
Provided some legal matters happen between now and then. I don't think that it'll come legal that soon, though.
Bummer, because it's flowing in Oregon right now, and it's flowing in Washington, Colorado, Alaska, Washington D.C., which is kind of a crazy thought, but.
So it's a booming market. I mean, it's like craft beer. It's booming.
Well, it's booming because there's so much pent-up demand. I mean, just same thing with craft beer. I mean, craft beer, the smart folks knew, like, people have been homebrewing good shit for years, and
Yes.
you know, all it took was you needed someone to just build it on an industrial scale, basically
Right.
turn it into mass production, right?
Right.
And it's the same thing with herb. I mean, people have been smoking herb for years, and the moment you legalize it, like, people come out of the woodwork to just start buying that stuff, you know. And it's so funny because there's all these press releases or articles where Colorado expects, like, you know, $10 million of sales in their first year, and they do 200 million. And it's just
Wow.
like, well, think about it. How much weed is just being bought and smoked every day, especially in Colorado? I mean, people, all the fucking granola people out there are just ripping J's all day long, just doing bongers, you know? It's hilarious,
Oh,
man.
it's
Yeah, I think
amazing.
South Carolina is going to be a little slower on the uptake, maybe.
They will, but you know, when like 30 or 40 out of 50 states do ratify it, what are you going to do? You're going to be that last holdout that says no or not? I mean, everyone's just eventually going to fall in line, you know?
Well,
And
there's something to be said about taxes that could be gained from it and that sort of thing, but
Oh yeah. Ultimately for South Carolina, it'll be all about the money.
We need to update our infrastructure, so.
Yeah, we do.
Well,
yeah.
you know what's funny about that is it's a losing proposition for states because they pay money to to enforce the prohibition of it. So you actually make money twice. When you legalize it, not only do you make all the tax revenues, but you actually save all of the expense of having to enforce the old laws. So like you used to have to go out and bust people for smoking weed, and then you'd have to incarcerate them and pay for all the legal fees of processing them through the judicial system. So when you eliminate all of those expenses and you make all the tax revenue from the excise taxes, you're fucking rolling. And that's why these guys are like, you can turn a deficit into a surplus, you know? So people are just like, let's do this, you know?
Yeah, for sure. I mean, it's similar to growing hops, from what I can read, right?
For real, yeah.
Yeah.
It's relatively easy to grow.
Well, it'd be awesome if you guys stop by in the new year.
All right, I'll be in touch with Ashley. We'll make that happen.
That'll be awesome.
The beer fairy. We'll have a party.
I'm actually on my way. I got to go to a separate event right now. I have one last thing to do before I go to get ready for the holiday weekend.
Well, thanks for joining us. We appreciate it.
Thank you. Thank you for thinking of me, and thanks for supporting us.
Thanks a lot.
Cheers.
All right. Peace.
All right, cheers. Shall we wait for Jim? Hey, he came back. Hey, you know what? I have not seen Jim and Shane in the same room at the same time.
Are they the same?
Nor Batman.
No.
Jim, what's up?
I would definitely not be here if I was him. I don't know. Just got off a 2-hour conference call, so that's cool.
Why
Yeah,
do
that
you
is cool.
kept being free when Shane's gone?
Isn't that weird?
Yeah, right? It's perfect.
I'm telling you, there's a conspiracy.
Clark Kent and Batman.
That's right. That is right.
Yeah.
Jim, do you have anything to add about anything? 6 Point? Are y'all getting the same stuff that we're getting in your market? Are you able to get the like the global warmer or the Sensi or anything?
I haven't seen it yet, but I also haven't been out in a couple weeks to look for it. Yeah, as far as I know, I don't see a whole lot of it around. I mean, I know it's out, but I don't think it's really caught on here.
Where are you?
Raleigh.
Well, it didn't come into North Carolina until fairly recently, like in the past few weeks.
Oh, good. Maybe I can get out and find it.
Yeah, and I don't know. I know it's in Charlotte. I don't know where else has made it in North Carolina.
Okay.
But I know it's
'cause
fairly recent.
Yeah, Raleigh and Charlotte. I mean, in fact, we've been getting a lot more stuff than Charlotte has here lately, from what I hear. But I mean, it's just I don't know. But yeah, I'll get out and look for it. But yeah, as far as I know, I never see it on tap here. I never see anything like in any of the better beer bars. I don't know. I don't get it. And it's not like it's. I mean, Residence is one of the better ones out there. Like
I don't know if it's made it to Raleigh yet, honestly.
Well, I've seen it.
Jim, you need to bring it to Raleigh. That's what you need to do. Bring it.
Bring it. Heck yeah. Well, they can just go ahead and, hire me as a rep, and I'll go ahead and I'll sell it. I'll start
You sold me on it, that's for sure. All right, well, I don't know. Do y'all have any other thing to say about 6 Point or anything coming up?
I think I like it more now.
6 Point, the global warming.
Yeah.
So Jim,
just hearing the story about like the purposeful packaging and the beer, and learning a little bit about Shane.
For sure. Keely, tell Jim about the global warmer real quick, since you're having it and you hadn't had it yet.
Global warmer. It's a hoppy red. And I was just saying to Ashley, I had something spicy before I started to drink it, and you get a lot of these like juicy fruit flavors on the front. Some of the hops not bitter. I think it's just an even, like, smooth beer, just a really smooth beer. At first I thought it was similar to the Bengali, but after having it today, it's way more fruity, juicy than the Bengali.
Cool.
Yeah, I have some people that think that they've been drinking the Sweet Action and they like the global warmer better than the Sweet Action. I was going to show you real quick. I'm just going to put this on camera so we can see.
They have the greatest barcode. It's so awesome.
Yeah, he was talking about it earlier. I don't know if you got to hear it or not, but I just want to make sure everyone had a reference for that.
And did you guys hear about the diesels that he was talking about, the event that happened tonight?
Tell me more.
over in the window there, but that's a stout that they're coming out with in limited draft only batches.
Cool.
Yeah.
Hey,
Diesel's
Keely.
on the bucket list. So
Diesel's not on the market yet?
No, it's
No,
not-
we don't have it yet. I think we'll get some, but it'll be draft only. No pack. No.
Keely, both of those things, can you PDF and tag to this
Yeah,
hangout so that people can have references when they're looking at it?
I can.
Thank you. All right, Jim, we miss you. When are you coming down?
I don't know.
I know you like to surprise us, but what's up?
Yeah, I think I might like the second week of December maybe, like the 6th, 7th. I don't know, sometime towards the end of the week, 9th, 10th, something like that maybe.
Okay.
I'm trying to.
We'll have a party. We have some cellared beers we need to drink. And some new stuff from Miss Beer Fairy.
So I don't know if you can see this or not, but I got organized here, and I don't know if you can see it. Nope. That right
You're moving
there,
along.
Wow.
it's not a cooler. It is
Wow.
a 4x6, 100 cubic inch tote full of
100
beers that I
cubic
need.
inch.
Yeah,
Wow.
it's like huge. It's ginormous. Just full of beers I need to drink. And I've got another one right beside it with my cellar beers in it. So I need to bring you more so that I can actually start the cellar.
How do you keep up? Spreadsheet?
Yeah, that's the only way. Like, crazy. And then like Bourbon County comes out Friday. Like Silent Night just came out. It's crazy. I can't keep up this time of year.
I saw your Raleigh beer in the store today, the Aces and what is it called?
From
Which one?
Big Boss.
Big Boss.
Aces and Eights.
That's right.
Oh yeah.
So you can go ahead and get your 4th year of that cellared?
Yeah, that'll be at least 4. I've got I got a problem. Like, I'm just gonna say it. I got a problem.
It's a hobby. It's an interest. It's not a problem.
Yeah, it's not a problem unless you make it a problem.
It's true.
This is
All right.
fun, guys.
Yeah, I think we need to wrap it up.
Yeah. Sorry, I came at the end.
No, Jim, it's good to talk to you. Ashley, thanks for joining us, and thanks for setting up Shane. I guess I need to say all the credits, grapesandgallery.com, facebook.com/grapesandgallery. We're closed for 2 days for Thanksgiving. We'll be open on Friday at 11 a.m. We'll have lunch around 1. We'll paint at 6. We'll close at 9. Saturday, we'll do it all over again.
Don't you have a special beer you're tapping on Friday?
We do.
Yes, we do. I can't say it too loudly because people will go crazy. So, formerly known as Gullah Cream Ale, made with Geechee Boy, South Carolina grits, we have the Revelry 164 coming on tap Friday at 11 a.m. So, that should be exciting.
Limited number of pours. You got to get there and get yours.
That's right. It all rhymes or something. Okay, well, we'll get Tony to take pictures since you can't taste it, Jim. And maybe we can ship you some. Who knows? Who knows? Okay. Well, thanks, guys. Appreciate it.
All right. Bye, guys.
Have a good one.
All right.
Good
Bye.
night.
All right.